What's up, mi gente? This is Edgar Ibarra back at it with the Milpa show. Want to thank each and every one of y'all for always tuning in and showing some love to us at the Milpa show, and everybody behind the scenes putting in that work. And today we got a special episode. I'm here with a good bro of mine. His name is Tony Diaz. Tony the Baker Diaz. He's a I was unfortunately we met in some bad circumstances when we were young in the and what was formerly known as the California Department or the California Youth Authority in Preston. And I met him there a long time ago when we were young, and now we're what you would call quote unquote grown men and trying to figure out life. And with that being said, I'm gonna just open it up as we always do it at Milpa. You know, I would start with the good check-in and trying to just figure out certain things and kick it off with the baggage and gifts. And Tony, you know, just for yourself, you know, the baggage is something that might be weighing in on your heart, man. And you might be carrying from last week, and it can be something as that pebble that's in your shoe that's bothering you, or you know, or that little paper cut, or it can be something like, man, I actually, you know, had to have a difficult conversation with my partner or a loved one, right, and having to figure that out. But we always end it off and pass it off with the gift, and the gift is the gift is always something we're grateful for in our lives, right? And I'll model it for you, right? And I'll pass it on that way. And again, my baggage, Tony, for this week, I guess I don't really have one, to be honest. I'm not gonna go try to dig in for things or try to make things up like that. It's been a beautiful weekend. I was able to go back home to Watsonville and spend time with my mom, my sisters, and just family, right? I had finished up midterms at Davis and went back and just had some unwinding time, right? And I had there with my little dog Toby, and you know, blessed up. My mom made pozole and chile relleno. You know, you can't go wrong with those right there,
Can't go
man.
wrong, man.
And
That's all you need in life.
you know, and on my way back, you know, the mom's got to put together a little plate and everything, hooks you up. And but yeah, man, that's my
Oh,
gift. And another gift is just being here with y'all, man. Being able to do this with you outside of a you know a locked cell, man. Being able to have this type of conversation and share this type of story, you know, with other folks out there in the community who might be trying to figure things out, man. So, you know, with that, I'll
right,
say palabra and I'll pass it on to you, man.
right on, right on. Yeah, definitely, man. So, uh, uh, we can't compare to being locked up and wondering if we ever gonna get out, if we're gonna make it out. I'll start off with the baggage. I would say things that kind of bring me down a little bit, or that I think about here and there is lately, with the COVID, a lot of businesses shutting down and being out of business and whatnot. Este, uh, having a history and a criminal background, on my shoulder, uh, just added to trying to making it that much harder to stay open because with all the PPP loans and government help, this and that, they still have that little checkbox, are you a felon? And oh, if you are, you got to submit your paperwork and make sure you're clear, you're not on probation and parole, or if you're under this and that, and it's just an extra step, you got to go through uh, to make sure you can get yours, and it's kind of it's hard. It's extra baggage that I have to deal with, especially now that I'm employing 5 people and they depend on me
Mm,
to make sure they get their paycheck, and that's what the program was for. The first time around, we through a lot of struggles we were able to get it, and the second time it rolled around, the second time the government came out with that PPP loan, uh, I'm still waiting on it. It's been over what 3 months, and every day I wake up thinking like, man, are they gonna shoot us that money? Like, we need that to keep us afloat, or to make sure that we're doing good. Because you never know what's gonna happen. If they shut this shit down again, it's gonna be harder to survive. We don't want to be another business that has to close. And with that in mind, uh, it's 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 unfortunate that they have that in the form, but at the same time, I understand, they want to avoid fraud and this and that, which I have to keep in mind. but definitely it is baggage to in my life right now to think about, you know, especially it has been so long since I've been locked up and 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 doing those type of things where it's like irrelevant. In my mind it's irrelevant, but it's still with me even though I'm employing people, paying taxes, you know, going above and beyond to to strive, you know, and to make something of myself. Um, but you know, in retrospect, it's a gift. It's a good problem to have. You know,
Well,
I'm over here figuring out how to scrape up money to stay open instead of figuring out how to scrape up money to pay a lawyer, you know, to get me out of jail or to pay bail or you know what I'm saying. So uh, I just came back from vacation recently. Was in Cancun with my people. I took we were out there with my tias and mis primos, and I went with my girl and her two daughters. Yes, you know, they never had a dad in their life. The girls, so you know, I don't really see myself a stepfather for them, but in a way, I am. You know, I am that figure in their life. You know, like uh, now that I think about it more, you know, they kind of I look at them as like my friends, you know, like I don't really try to be that person to kind of to like crack the whip, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you know, hey, you need to be doing this, or that, you know. So when I took them out on vacation, I was glad that I was able to, you know, give that to them in their life to for them to see another world, you know. When I took them to Mexico, another way of life, uh, they were exposed to children hustling for money, like coming over to your. We were just chilling, eating tacos, and they'd come and sing a song just for a couple pesos, you know. So I'm glad I was able to expose them to that, so they can kind of, you know, realize that they have opportunity, that they have, you know, even though their circumstances may be bad at certain times in their life, you know, you gotta be aware of everyone around you. You
mm,
can't just be self-centered. When you dig yourself in that self-centered hole, I feel like that's when you know you might be able to go in the dark places easier. Um, and with that in mind, you know, I keep thinking about that when I'm fed up or I'm tired and I just don't want to deal with certain things. You know, I think about that like, hey man, there's other people out there in the world that are doing a lot worse that wish they could have these type of problems. So, you know, that's my gift to be able to have the type of baggage that I have.
no, that's real, man. I appreciate you just checking in. It's we do this, man, because sometimes we're going about our life, we're going about our day in and day out, and we forget to check in here, man. You know, sometimes they say that the longest walk is the one from the heart to the head, right? You know, and that's the when connecting that and aligning your corazon with your mente, that's
Right,
always one of the hardest things you'll do. And appreciate you just sharing what you just shared with all of us, right? Whoever's gonna be watching this, because it means something to be able to provide opportunity for ourselves and our families to go and trip out on the rest of the world, to like to go out of our bubble, you know. And when I came back home, I had not really ventured out outside of the what I call the backyard, you know, the garage. You know, you already know how it is. You know, you go there
yeah,
and with the folks, you know, with the fellas, and y'all always stuck behind in the garages and the backyard throwing a barbecue. And they're so and I lived in a beautiful place, just as you do, right? Vallejo and Watsonville.
right,
And Watsonville is like we're surrounded by the beaches, Santa Cruz, Monterey, Big Sur, Pacific Groves, like everything around there was beautiful, and just being able to venture out a few miles out of town to trip out on the big redwoods, the coastal redwoods, and see the beauty that like that was surrounded us was that really eye opening. So I can only imagine what these young girls saw, and you even just standing up as a showing what a man should be, man. Like, you know, even
right,
sometimes we might have not had the best examples or what the example that we would have loved to have, right? But
right,
we did what we with what we had, man. And I appreciate you and I commend you for doing that, because not a lot of us would do it.
right,
A lot of us would run away from that from that responsibility, and that's real one right there, man. So I appreciate you. And before we go on, man, we like you gotta tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Tony? Where do you come from, man?
right.
What got you here today? Like all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. It's pretty complex story, but I don't know to start off. Like every youngster, you I was a young knucklehead. I was getting into trouble. Uh, I started out with my mom. My mom was single with us. My dad was around, but she wasn't. They weren't together. And my mom had my other brothers who had different dads, so we were kind of like she was alone in that sense. Yes, she would always struggle my whole life growing up with her. She was struggling, making it, uh, paying the bills, and I would always see the stress in her. And eventually, I came of age where I wanted to help her, and any way I possibly was able to. And I started getting in trouble in school, figuring out ways to make money, and one thing led to another. I was selling drugs. I was stealing from houses. I was doing everything under the sun, right? Eventually, I started hanging out with the homies on the block, gang banging. Uh, Next thing you know, I found myself facing life in prison. And the first time around, out of all the dirt I did, the last thing one of the last crimes I committed, this is one I ended up getting caught up for. Sent me to CYA where I met you in 2008. 2008, 2009, ended up doing my first stretch. And, my mom was left alone without me. She was still struggling with my brothers, and there was no way I could help her. And that to me was like, oh, the worst. It was heartbreaking. And eventually I ended up getting out. I ended up getting out of prison, out of CYA. But before I was able to get out, they ended up charging me with another case, another life sentencing case. Uh, they ended up charging me with that. Luckily, I was able to defeat that, get out of that situation, um, and getting out. So when I got out this last time, I was about 21, um, and I didn't know how to do anything. I didn't know how to work. I didn't have any skills. I mean, when you're locked up, they say they train you and teach you vocational this and that, but I mean the reality is what they teach you isn't sufficient to really get you land you a job or be a functioning employee. You got to start from the bottom. You got to start whether it be washing dishes or whatever it is to build up your work ethic to really understand how a business works or how a company works or a team or working as a team in a functioning work environment. But I was lucky enough to have that uh, to be before I had got locked up. My mom used to take me on the weekends to my grandparents' bakery, and we used to bake. I used to help out, with whatever I could, and eventually I started baking with my grandparents, uh, and I learned the trade. So I ended up getting locked up. I didn't work for so long. I ended up getting out at about 21 from six. I got locked up at 16, got out at 21 with hairs on my chin. Got me a girlfriend. I ended up working back at my grandparents' bakery, and I finished off learning that trade of learning how to, fine arts in baking and all that. And that's all I knew how to do. So eventually, my friends and family here in Vallejo would ask for kicks here and there for their stuff. So I would make a little some, on the side just because they were my friends. And next thing you know, I'm just getting so many orders, and I told my grandma like, hey, we should expand. We should open up another shop. And they were older. They weren't looking for expansion. Expansion is a young man's dream. They were just good with what they had. So I decided to venture off on my own out here in Vallejo, and it boomed. Next thing you know, I was looking for commercial space, and then I eventually opened up my own bakery. Ended up hiring people, and the crazy part is I didn't nobody taught me how to run a business. Nobody taught me how to do this or to do that. I kind of just trial and error the whole way, patience and dedication. And I think uh, I wouldn't have been able to do that without have been locked up. Uh, Being locked up taught me patience, trial and error, figuring things out as you go. but most of all, patience. Being able to wait, or if something doesn't work out, you sit on it and figure it out. Uh, and I mean, being locked up didn't break me. You know, Failing in the business wasn't gonna break me either. So
That's
I
real.
mean, it was a walk in the park. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was really hard. It still is hard, but in retrospect to what we went through in CYA, man, and being locked up in Kern week after week, missing visits, fucking, it was bad. Shit was stressful. That shit was stressful. And I've been seeing your family for months on end. I mean, it's bad it's heartbreaking and bad on the soul, but being able to start your own business, I mean, just doing that alone and even failing at it, is way better than what you can possibly imagine being locked up. So, I mean, you know, anybody out there struggling or going through things that might make you want to you know go down the wrong path and get in trouble with the law, just remember that you might fail at one thing, uh, but it's not the end of the world. I mean, it's not the end of it. It's gonna be the end of it when you're sitting in that cell, just looking at life again, like, damn, there's so many things I could have tried before I went down that path.
And seeing, just hearing you out, man, it's I remember back then when it was like 2008 when I met you. We were in Preston,
Yeah.
uh, and I was mentioning, I was like, damn, it's been a minute, probably 13, 14 years since then, right? And it's hella crazy. It's also like very crazy too how we how we met up again, right? Andy, right? Andy was the connector. I met up
Connect,
with
man.
Andy, and Andy's like, yeah, you know who got a cake, his own business? Like, who? He's like, nah, man, remember Tony? He's like, yeah. He's like, he got the cake. He's got a bakery and the whole works, right? And then I was thinking like, and you might say no, but I swear I remember you carrying like this little notebook and you have some recipes in there and stuff, and I would be like, and
Yeah,
you
and
would tell us. And you would be like, hey, I'm gonna open up a bakery, I'm gonna do these things. And I was just like, and you know how we were just very pessimistic being in the situation
right,
we were in,
right,
where it felt like, hey, like I used to call things as I reflect back, I really think it was like kind of like that Neverland, that Peter Pan, where we were never gonna grow up. That mentality of just being kind of knuckleheads, being
right, right,
that torpedo mentality that we were in there, and just it was like festering. It was like that. That's the only thing that lived in that area. And then and some of us were able to snap out of it. Some of us were able to actually like
right,
build and actually go back to the main line from ad seg and all that, and actually go home. But some of us really got stuck in that place, and I think it was and it was really sad as I reflect back and think about a lot of the guys that we were there with, right? A lot of them are doing life now. A lot of them a
right,
lot of them have passed away. Some of them have actually committed
mm,
suicide, and so it's really sad again. And just thinking of like whole situation of being
right.
incarcerated as a young man, going through your
Yeah,
own
yeah,
like developing, going through puberty and everything, and
right,
trying to figure out
right,
a man amongst
yeah,
boys, right? Not having no clear
right, right,
guidance was it was a trip, man. And just seeing you and what you just described, that trial and error of opening up a business, it's big, man. That's a big win, not just for you and your family, but for all of us. You're like a beacon of hope,
right,
man. And it's important that and that's why I really wanted to talk to you about it, man. It's like because it's an opportunity for others before they come back home or when they're out to really listen. And it's like, man, just set yourself to it. We have all the skills necessary that we might not know them as
mm,
business skills and all, but we have a lot of transferable skills that can be applied in different settings that can allow us to prosper,
exactly.
right? And
You know, now you mentioned that, the way I look at it was, when you were mentioning being stuck in that world, I could remember like vividly the main goal, I think, in that scenario when we were all young was getting the fuck out of there without losing our manhood or dignity. Like we're not going out. We ain't no bitch. Like, you know what I'm saying? We're not gonna fold to the system. Like we're gonna make it out with, and we're just digging ourselves deeper in the hole. Like it's add on after add on. I went in there with 18 months. I was only supposed to do 18 months before I could get up to parole board. I turned that into 4 years. And it would have been longer. It would have been longer, but I was lucky they pulled me out for that second case. They pulled me out of court, so I was gone for a while on court. So that kind of helped me out a little bit. But it would have been longer. It could have been 6, 7 years. You would have been baby life. I would have got out at 25 instead of 21.
Yeah, and it sucks, man, because again, it's like it just not just does something to your physical sense, man, like to your body, like, but mentally, it's like being arrested, like arrested development. Like you really just stuck, bro. Like honestly, and it's like a lot of things that we're supposed to process and explore while
Mhm.
we're free, we weren't able to because and instead what we did was we were suppressed everything, and we relied on two different emotions: anger and our impulsivity.
Yeah.
We're reacting to anything.
Just give me a reason.
Yeah,
Yeah.
give me a reason, and that was it. It really came out of that, and I believe as I reflect on my own journey, right, on shame, on in a way, a lot of shame, with what we did and how we grow up, being angry at the world. You talked about poverty, man. I was talking to my mom over the weekend, and I was telling, and we were just having a discussion, just like how it was growing up, and I asked her, and I was having a conversation, man. It's like, why is it that when every time I asked you for $1, there was no money? While we went to the store and you were buying all these things like food and stuff, oh, there's no money. There was never no money for nothing. And
Right, right.
in my head, I couldn't understand it. And she asked, when I asked her, she told me, man, there really wasn't. Lo que íbamos a la tienda, that was it. Every
Right.
time we went, no había pa unos chetos, nomás para lo que teníamos para la semana. That was it. And I was like, I really
Right. Stretch
reflect
that
on
out. Yeah.
yeah. And I remember, that's why I said, that's why cuando cocinábamos una cena, era
Yeah.
para 3 cenas. Out of one meal, we would make 3 meals, and it would be stretched out.
Stretch it
And
out.
if I trip out, like I just think of like on things like that, and then just like the whole way where we come from. But I guess another question is like, where does your family come from? Like from what part of Mexico? If they come from Mexico, how do they end up in Vallejo, in that area, in this area, right? Like what was that kind of story? Because I believe that story also influences your story, 'Cause
Definitely. Right. So eventually when I got out and when I got out the first time, I wasn't all the way certain on what I was gonna be doing. It was a journey. I had to figure it out, to figure some things out. I mean, I was still going to bars and getting bar fights. I was still hanging out with the homies and doing some things here and there. I wasn't all the way like focused on my mission or really certain on what I was supposed to be doing. I figured it out on the way, but I remember one of my earliest things that I kind of started thinking about was my pops. So like I remember my pops used to come visit me sometimes, and like I could see it in his face that he was just like he looked broken. He looked like man, he just it hurt his soul to see me locked up and to see me like in that position and there's nothing he can do about it. Absolutely nothing. It was all in me to be able to get out and figure it out on my own. So uh, I remember his face, and I couldn't get it out of my head, thinking about my pops, and then I stopped being self-centered and thinking about myself so much. I started thinking about everybody around me, and that's when I started thinking about my pops and what his journey was like and what his expectations are of me as his son, or what it is that he wants, what would make him happy. How can I, you know, uh, bring my dad's spirit up or soul, And one of the things that I remember him always telling me was his struggle of surviving in Mexico and his ranch and how sometimes they didn't have food and his struggle is always and how he came here with nothing and just crossed the border not knowing where he was going and just started working in the fields and just eating the fruits for weeks on end. You know what I'm saying? So he got paid, and I would think about that, and then I was like, man, did my pops really just do all this just for me to come here and fucking sit in the cell? You know what I'm saying? Like, is that's why he's broken? Like he made it all this effort to get me his son, this far, and then for me to just not even take it into account, you know. So I feel like that's where his where he felt broken at, you know, like he didn't, there was nothing he could do. And so, you know, I think about that, and I say, you know what, I gotta make something happen. I gotta make my pops uh proud, you know, make him feel, you know, that there was a reason his efforts didn't go in vain, you know. He's not um his time wasn't wasted. So uh come to find out, I got out and I have two new sisters. Like I didn't even know about him. He kept it a secret. He had a whole nother family.
Oh
He had a
wow.
whole nother. This whole time I was locked up, he had a whole nother family. I didn't even know about it, right? Because I was facing life. Like everybody thought I was gonna do life. That was it. That's what the lawyers were saying. I was gonna do life in prison. Uh, the trial, everything was looking bad. I was fighting this case for about 3.5 years. So that's what it was looking like. So for him, I feel like he lost everything, right? He lost everything. So he was trying to start a little family on the side, like you know what I'm saying? I lost my son, I lost it all. So he started having more kids. My pops is not giving up, man. He's a striver, I'm telling you. So that was it. That's what he was thinking. And I get out and he has his kids and he's like, you know what? You got two new sisters, this and that. And I was like, well, that's great, pops. You know, like, hey, the more the merrier, right? But you know, then I started thinking about, well, why did my dad have more kids? And I started figuring it out. Like, my dad's old as hell. Like, my dad's like about to be, when he had him, he was already 50. And he's gonna do it all over again, you know. So I thought about it, and I thought about him. So you know, now that I make my choices or my decisions, or I think about, you know, everybody around me. I don't just think of myself. And that's why I said it's easy to fall in your own dark hole and get lost in your own pain, misery, or whatever it is that you decide to hold on to, whatever negativity that can bring you down. You know, don't forget about the people around you, the people that support you, or that care, that generally love you and care about you, and you know how that would affect them, and that's really important. You know, to keep that in mind, that you're not just one person in this world; it's a whole community, and you know we all affect each other in certain ways. And I think that's why it's important to talk about it. And even in the show, you know, somebody hearing it out there, my you know, a little light bulb might spark up and say, you know what, you know, I have, you know, these kids, or I have my mom, or I have my abuelita that's just wants to see me have a grandkid and a family before she dies. You know, that's like the one thing that you know, because once we get old and we think about it, when it's too late, you know, we only get one life and one shot at it, and if you don't get it right, eventually, you know, time runs out, man.
It's real, man, and it's thinking again, going back to a lot of the things that you're saying makes me reflect, man. It's like just on how it works out, man, and it's like in that same question, I'm kind of thinking about how you're thinking about your father. I had to ask myself that, and you know, my father was locked up for 13 years when I was young. Yeah, he went through the whole ringer himself, right? You know, through the feds, and then gets out. You know, there's no basically with my mother. There was no going to be no more family reunions. Like, nah, it's like it's bad. My mom basically told me it's bad. You know, you go about your own, and he did. You know, and so years later he has two kids. Two I got two little stepbrothers, just a stepbrother and stepsister, and I had just went down to Mexico and had a conversation. You know, just like trying to heal that. You know, like really like trying to have that conversation, repair those harms, because I'm also knowing that he didn't have his father. His
Mm-hmm.
father was gone. You know, his father
Right.
got killed when he was young. So it's something that's been passed on, right? That type of environment when there is no father there, right? And but also but I asked him like, he did the question is like, why'd you get another family? You know, because we have another brother too. So in total,
Right.
he's got about 8 or 9 kids, right?
Right.
And
Right.
and three different quote unquote babies moms, right? but
Plants everywhere, but one of them's bound to grow, right?
yeah, and And I think for myself, when I go back and I'm having that conversation with him, he really told me I was scared to be by myself. You know, he said he had been in prison and he was by himself and he didn't want to be by himself.
Right. Right.
And so that's what he did, it man. And I can't even hate on it because I like can't even get mad because I understand that and where he's coming from. You know, I've
Right.
experiencing that type of like being surrounded by so many people, yet
Right.
so freaking lonely. You know,
Right.
and you can be in a dorm setting or you can be in San Quentin in those 5 tiers, like with 1,000 dudes in the same building, and you can still be the loneliest person, right? And
Exactly.
feel that soledad on a
Right.
whole different level.
Right.
But it's but I also think of like when you said like man, it's like navigating how you navigated just being a young person and the decisions you made, right? And
Right.
it does take a community, bro. I believe that it takes a community to raise a young person. You know, there's a lot. It just doesn't come from our family because we also like need to understand that we spend a majority of our day at school, and
Right.
sometimes at school we don't receive the necessary attention or the necessary education planning for ourselves, and and sometimes school just sucks. The reality, just because you're a teacher doesn't mean you can teach. You
Right.
might not have the best teachers, the best people come through your life at the moments you needed them to come through, right? And
Hmm.
I'm a firm believer in that, and I know that in Vallejo PD is really is one of the worst law enforcement agencies in the state of California. They're notoriously known for doing quote. I'm gonna keep it lit. They doing some scumbag stuff over there, you know, and
I
they're
know.
known for that. And then
Yes,
so
sir.
it's just seeing you where you're at today and what you were able to overcome and beat these cases to where you're at today, here today in this very moment. Man, it's literally like lightweight of a freaking miracle. You know,
I
not
just I just saw the officer that read me my Miranda rights today. I was walking down where's the Target earlier with my girl, and there's a restaurant there. They have the outside seating, and I'm walking down to Target, and I gotta pass that restaurant to get there through the parking lot, and there were the five cops right there eating their afternoon lunch,
mm,
and I look over and I see the cop that Mirandized me, and next to him was Detective Tribble, which is one of the most corrupt. He's like one of the FBI agents that's assigned to this area.
mm,
Uh, one of the most corrupt detective you can think of. That's the guy. I remember him in court. When I seen him, I looked over and I see him. I remember him trembling in court, being cross-examined by one of our attorneys. We were lucky to be appointed one of the best attorneys in the area, and I remember him trembling at the stand and everything. Like I just remember flashing that, like those flashbacks of trial and the whole process. And I'm just like, it was like that dead stare. Like I see you, you see me. Like
that one that just
yeah, like fuck. And then I had a moment where I was like, fuck. Like I was thinking like, do I have anything on me? Like I'm gonna get fucked with. Like you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you don't realize it. Like just today I had in the morning I had an open alcohol bottle in the car from a party that I had that had celebrated my birthday party recently, and you know all the leftover stuff they threw it in the car because it was after the party, and I cleaned everything out, but there was one item that I forgot to take out or it was missed, and now that I think about it, I'm just like, hey, what if I didn't catch that this morning, right? And these cops decided to fuck with me because they see me. They're like, oh, I remember that guy. That's Tony right there. That's this and that. They know who I am, and they decided to pull me over. Like fuck, that would have been the case right there. Open alcohol bottle in the vehicle. You know, it's just like just little shit like that. I think about it. Like you got to be extra careful, and
always.
you
You
know,
always got to be careful, man. Always got to
there's
be
no
always analyzing, touching the pockets, going everything. Like before I get in the car, like but it's that hyper vigilance that always keeps you on toes. And it's like I again, and it's as you're speaking, a whole bunch of things just come up to me. It's just I'm always just a while ago I had got pulled over with some friends, and I'm thinking in my head, you can't pull me out this car. I am off parole. Like I don't have to worry about that no more. And not only that, but we weren't even doing nothing. We were just driving to a location, and that's it, actually having a good, healthy time.
Right.
And, but all those things still surface. Your body starts tensing up, you know,
Yeah. For real.
like like you said, those flashbacks, all that stuff, and it's like it's real, folks. Like folks might not realize it, and for folks who are gonna come back from incarceration, prepare yourself for that. When you hear those knocks at 6 a.m. and it's parole search, you know it's like, oh man, it's like you gotta roll up, and all those things not only impact ourselves, but they impact our families.
Yep.
Those who live with us, and they have to go through that too, and see us go through that. Having to like those that kind of like emotional roller coaster that takes place in a freaking 1 minute span of like, damn, what do I got on me? Am I gonna get locked up? Damn, and it takes
Right.
you, but
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying, and man, it's like all these things, regardless, you were able to overcome. A lot of folks that are in our place that have been able to overcome it do experience this in
And it's
different
not, and
levels.
not everybody gets lucky. Like you and I have been lucky so far, because there's other people that have, like you said, have innocent time and they don't get that luck. Where this morning I got rid of the bottle because I saw it. I was cleaning out the car, and I saw it this morning. Yesterday I didn't. What if I would have saw those cops and they decided to mess with me? Knowing these Vallejo cops, they're dirty, man. They don't care about your rights. And I just, thinking about it, there's a lot of people that do say, you know what, I'm gonna try. They give it their all, and there's that one circumstance that that bump in the road, where they had no ill intention, they were doing everything right, but for some reason or another, they broke the law in the
Mm.
most innocent way, and they're gonna get you're gonna get the highest penalty. You're gonna do time like nobody else, and that's
Priors, enhancements, the whole works. They're
the
gonna hit you with
whole
all
work.
that.
They're gonna throw the book at you, and it is discouraging, man. You're gonna sit in that county jail feeling really sick and angry at the world. Like, why me? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, oh man, that's like one of the worst feelings where like you're
Yeah,
sitting back there and you're having to contemplate. It's like I remember sitting there myself, like, man, I ain't shit, like
right.
just thinking of like those thoughts come through, and it's like every single bad thought and like that you can think of about yourself goes through it. And I remember going through that whole motion, and I'm like, man, and it just sucks, man. But I guess just to move on and ask you a few different questions. Out of all this, bro, get this to mom. What does your mom say? How is she proud? Like, and not only what does she say, but how has your family supported you along the way to reaching to where you're at today?
So my mom used to, like I said, when I was younger, she used to try to take me to my grandparents' bakery to keep me out of trouble before I got locked up the first time. And she used to pull me by the ears, like, "Make come to work, come do something, stay out of trouble." And her efforts did not work. I ended up getting locked up and going through the whole process and whatnot. But now it's like I'm pulling her by the ears now to come to work because we got this business, ma. Like, we got to get this thing going. We got things to do. So I'm lucky and blessed to have my mom here with me, working. She's a full-time employee. Um, Not only that, but I take care of her. She recently just bought her house uh, in December.
That's
So
right.
I mean, it was just we went from losing the house in 2008, me getting locked up, to now I got this business, and now she has her own house again, and she's doing great, man. She couldn't be happier. Um, her and my little sister, they come to help. My little sister is handicapped, but she helps out with whatever she can. She'll sanitize the front. She'll greet people. She's a charm, bro. Her and my mom, they're the charm of the bakery. They're what makes the bakery a family business. They're what makes people feel good about coming in and spending that extra dollar here versus going to a big company where they can get their stuff maybe a little cheaper. But um, this is you know this is, I think, the ultimate feeling in life is being able to give back to your parents and making sure taking care of them, making sure they're okay, and it not really being a burden to you. You know, like it's not. I give everything to my mom, so it won't be a burden. And I'm just happy she's here and with me, and you know I don't have that feeling of being alone. That's a you know that feeling that when I was locked up, being alone and not being able to see my family for months on end. I get sick of seeing her every day sometimes. Not thinking that.
Hell
Yeah, she she's a charm, man. She is a charm. She gets everything done here. She helps out with everybody that comes in with her is happy to talk to her and I mean I couldn't be happier. Um, I would say if you have a way to do that, I mean I recommend striving for it, even if it takes you a while to get there. You know, patience is a virtue, they say. You know, it really is. There's been so many times I could have quit. I remember I wasn't making money for like the first year and a half, uh, less than maybe minimum wage. Uh, so at times I was losing money. I was pulling money out of my savings. But you know, it's worth it at the end. You got to keep thinking about the long term, about the big prize at the end when things are running smoothly and you get to the level you need to be to just not worry about it. That's where it's at. That's where you need to keep in mind, you know. And it's hard because a lot of us don't even have that vision of what it looks like. You know, what does that even look like? You don't even have a vision to say, oh, okay, well, I have these goals and I know these numbers, and you know, like I said, for me it was trial and error. Nobody taught me, showed me a chart and said, you know, once you get to this level, you can make this much or I would try and error. At first, my prices were so low, I was losing money. So I figured out how to, you know, adjust my pricing to where I would make enough to keep the business running, or where what I should stop doing, what I should cut. You know, it's a very complex process, but uh, it's a learning process. You know, and you're gonna fail. Be prepared to fail is all you need to do. Is prepare yourself to fail, and don't let that stop you from succeeding in the future. Because if you don't fail, then whatever you're doing is not worth your time. Otherwise, everybody would be doing it. You know what I'm saying?
it's real, man. It's you know, and I have to go back to that component of like even growing up. Sometimes our folks don't know how to talk to us about personal finances. They don't know how to talk to us about how do you maintain a well balanced budget. You know, just for your own personal self, right? Like, what
Right,
is what does it mean to invest? What does it mean to save? You know, why is it important? So a lot of the times in our community, specifically Black and brown communities that are poor, we're living paycheck to paycheck. And our
right.
mentality is like, you know, you've probably said it yourself or you've heard it, is like, man, just take it day by day. You know, you
Mm-hmm.
take it day by day, and we really living and going about our lives, really not not dreaming and having a vision for ourselves. We're
Right,
limiting ourselves, right? And right away when we say, oh, I'm just taking it day by day, I don't even think that far
right.
because we were never taught to think that far. We were
It's
always told to just this is what you got right here in front of you, and that's it. Nothing else. Nobody. And I go back. I was having this conversation with these young folks in Solano County Office of Education around personal finances, investments, right? All these different things. Like, what do y'all know about this? What do you know? Like, and it's like, and the crazy thing about it is, how I was having this conversation, I was starting to realize and recognize that I still don't know a lot of these things. And
Mhm.
it again, and it's like in incarceration, when you're locked up, they don't teach you nothing about that, man. And you're lucky. Like I remember getting out from um from prison, they only give you $200, and if you gotta take the bus, te van a quitar unos $40. Ahí está, $160. Figure it out,
Right.
and you're going, and then it's if you get your little Gatorade, your little bag of hot Cheetos, que te vas a saborear, you're gonna,
Yep.
oh man, all that stuff, maybe a burrito, and it's like,
Next thing you know, you're just like, damn, where am I gonna get some more money from?
and and,
Exactly.
and you find yourself in a situation where like, man, we really don't, it's really hard to snap that cycle, but once you snap it and you start seeing the light in the tunnel, and you
Right.
start and you're able to actually dream,
Right.
You're able to actually see yourself in your mission, see yourself in your vision, see yourself in that place that you would want to. And like the most beautiful thing that you can do is be able to provide something for your mother. You know,
Right.
I'm a firm believer of that. I want to be able to see my mom in the same like you, like have un lugar donde no se chingue,
Right.
primeramente, because these jobs, they know they break our folks, man, in the fields and the canneries. And
Yep.
not only that, but you provide a space where it's family oriented. Puede venir tu hermanita. Just there, you're around folks that you actually like to work with. You
Right.
know, you're around family, and that's beautiful, man. And it's like I don't even know what other way to describe it. And
Yeah, and it's definitely it's definitely different working with family versus not. I mean, I haven't had any other job other than working with family. I mean, I think one time I worked at Togo's making sandwiches for like a week, and I remember I quit because uh, I had got out, and that was the first job I got. I think it was at Togo's making sandwiches, and I remember seeing a dude, a little kid with his mom. It was a little black boy with his mom, and they had some kind of coupon. They were like saving, and they wanted to use it, and they were getting like a discount on a sandwich. And the kid was hella juiced about this damn sandwich. Like he was looking for. You could tell like this is the highlight of his freaking life right now. And I could tell they were broke, they were poor, and by the way he was dressed, and the mom, you could tell she wasn't, she just didn't look like.
they were
I mean,
struggling.
you can't judge by the looks, but I could just tell. Like I know they were from the hood, I can tell. And the boy wanted avocados in his sandwich, but they charge extra for the avocados, it's expensive. And the manager was right there next to me, and he's like, "Oh, this one doesn't come with avocados if you're gonna use the coupon." And I was just like, "Man, I'll pay the 50 cents, man. It's good, I got it." And then that pissed him off. Like I remember after I made them the sandwich, and then I ended up paying the difference. The manager pulled me to the side, and he was like, "You can't be doing that." I was like, "Why?" He's like, "Because then they're gonna come back thinking they can have free stuff." I was like, "Man, I paid for it. Like I I'm looking at the boy because I could see myself in the boy. Like when I was little and I wanted shit, and moms wouldn't. Then it was no había dinero, like you said. There wasn't an extra dollar for nothing. So for me, that was like, I'm out of here. Like this isn't for me. I can't deal with this. I gotta figure something else out because this is whack. Este, that's when I learned, like, man, you got to give back to your community. Like I'm blessed to have a lot of support. Like anytime I've needed help from my community, even when I first started opening this place, uh, I remember one time I posted like, "Hey, you know what? I need some more funds to be able to buy this or that or get this place open." And I would post like gift cards on my website, and then people would buy like electronic gift cards to shoot me more money, and they'd be able to use that later on when I was able to open. Or recently, I have a cousin that's working on a documentary for the bakery and the whole process and stuff. Uh, it was for her for like final project in her university, and she needed some funds to be able to do proper editing or whatever it is. I don't know how the video business works, but some
Yeah,
high tech stuff that was gonna cost some dollars. So I posted it on my Instagram like, hey, go fund my cousin to put this documentary together, and I was surprised to see how many clients that always are around. Man, they were donating big amounts, and they got to their goal. They ended up raising over $4,000 to get the project done. So I mean, just little stuff like that. Having the community around me, I've learned to always give back. Um, I've always gave people discounts. I've always hooked people up with extra things. I've always, when I can tell, some clients are from low income backgrounds. I always make sure I give them extra stuff because they're the ones that support you. They're your support system. They're your rock when you need them. They're always going to be there because they live right around the corner from you.
that's real.
They're the roots. they're the roots, and I was learning to take care of that, and uh, that eso no nunca I never forget that that Togo situation where like we're tripping over 50-cent sandwich for a kid. Like, I mean, can't you see? Like, are you not seeing what I'm seeing? You know what I mean? Uh, but I mean, other than that, I would say, always give back. If you do reach a level of success where you make it, there's nothing like giving back to your family, your parents, and more than that, the people that you see yourself in when you were struggling. And it's like a circle of life, man. And maybe now it's easy to lose yourself. I remember there was a time where there was a stretch where I wasn't really focused on giving back. I was spending too much money on nonsense, and at the end of the day, it was just like it wasn't fulfilling for me. Like, it was just like, what's the point of working and doing all this if you can't, take care of your own and focus on what's important. So just one thing to keep in mind when you do reach that level of success.
Oh, that's dope, man. And yeah, just that la pobreza, man. That is real. Like, throughout, folks, especially with COVID and the pandemic, it really exacerbated the situation, and folks losing their jobs, folks not really having food. Shit, hasta no había papel del baño. I don't know how they were doing it, but no había papel del baño. And that was a crazy one. But and in all seriousness, it's heartbreaking, man, because it's like when you see that, when you witness someone come in y que no les quieren dar pinche aguacate for 50 cents, y que the owner or the manager que te diga something like that, is that struggle is real, and not everybody understands it. You
Right.
know, just because we might have lived in the same neighborhood doesn't necessarily mean you experience the same level of stuff that I experienced. Just because we come from similar situations, again, doesn't mean nothing. But that, when you're able to feel and empathize with someone, when you're able to see that little young boy, or like I remember being that kid, going up al paletero, man, hey, break me off with the pinche icy, right? The icy were like 50 cents.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and he siempre, like, he would always look, and estaba and he'd always make sure, like, not to do that in front of, like, other kids, because,
Mhm.
man, también, no, he can't be breaking his pockets like that, pero cuando lo agarraba solas, pues, aquí estaba tu icy, tu
Yeah,
domingo siete, right?
yeah,
No,
yeah.
but it's
Hey, and that like awareness of knowing how and when to do, like, I seen that in you, bro. Even being locked up, like working the COs and working the staff that come into work, especially what was his fat ass name?
el
Este,
dirty, el
eh,
dirty,
and dirty.
el dirty.
You knew how to milk him for everything.
Hey man, man, hey, I swear we used to give that guy so much stuff, man. Hey, that guy, hey, like, he had a man. I don't know. As I reflect, when we were on the Y,
Yeah,
we were I know I was terrible. I was a terrible ass kid. I used to we used to be roasting everybody left and right.
everybody, man.
Everybody got it, man. Until everybody got their day under the sun. Like, te tocaba, boom.
Yep,
They were
yep.
shut you down. And they would
And
now stop yelling, man.
even though we were lonely in there, man, we I remember we had a lot of fun, dude. We had a lot of fun. We made the best of it. Uh, Especially all the shit talking, man, made time pass by pretty smooth. And it's like, it builds you up, dude. Like, I remember when I first got to YA, it was like, oh, it was a whole nother world. Like, I was like, fuck, we'll be here for how long? And then once you get sucked into it, fuck, you just chilling. Like, you it's like it helps you pass, el tiempo te ayuda a pasar el tiempo. And man, I remember me and you, man.
It's like everything, todo in retrospect, start crazy and thinking about it. And it's just like, you can laugh at it now, man. But then I remember I used to be hungry all the time. You said it. We was going through puberty.
I
I
could
was
see I could
hungry.
see your spine. I remember seeing your spine, bro. You were hella skinny,
Hey, like, man, what was that? Was like a buck 20, a buck
man.
20. And I was 17, 18 years old, a buck 20, buck 25. I was
Man,
like,
I remember you were like my height. You were like my height when I left, and when I came back from court, you were like, fucking pass me already. Like, what the?
What they give this guy?
Who's this? Who's the new guy?
Got long hair and everything, long hair y todo. Hey, el chongo, nah, hey.
Yeah, bro, you grew out of nowhere, man. Yeah, that's a trip, bro. Watching each other grow like that, like fuck, we were really just little kids, just stuck in an environment, in a hostile ass environment, growing up,
Hey,
figuring out how to.
self-made hostile environment. Self-made. Let me tell you, that was like it was. That's what I'm saying. All of us used to just pump each other up, man. It was one of those situations where it's like you said it, man. We wasn't trying to go out like no suckers. We were just trying to get out with everything intact, right? And yeah, it's just definitely a crazy one. And we're about to close it up, man. And I just really wanted to thank you above all else, man, just for doing this. Wanted to see if potentially if you can show us what you're working on currently, and the thing, or is it you're on your desktop? If you can't move your laptop.
Yeah. Oh, so right now, it's Monday. I'm closed. But I mean, right now I was working on the Mother's Day specials. That's because everyone's expecting some. Last year we did some Mother's Day specials where we had like 2-tier cakes and stuff going on. But here I'll show you a little sample cake we had as the right here. This one, I'll put it on a decent background right now. Yeah. This is one of our. Oh, this is the bakery, by the way. This is a little.
Okay.
This is our little tasting table right here. We got going on.
Tasting table. Okay, I see you.
Yeah, so we have all our. It's a little mess right now because I was working with you, but we have all the tastings. Piece. A little computer, a little tasting area.
Well, where's where all the magic happens at, bro? Where's all the ovens, the whole shebang?
Oh yeah. This over the decorating side is on this side.
Okay, that's decorations. Ah, man. Those remind me of Preston, by the way. We used to do all the trays.
This what we do, like a lot of prep work. We got all the hooks and stuff right there. These are that's the big oven right there.
Órale.
Little stove, big oven. And on this side, I was working on some pan right now, but this all like prep table for the breads, all the trays for the cakes. It's another little prep table for the cold. Oh, I'm not even gonna show you the dish room right now.
you know, you guys haven't got to the dishes.
I'll get to the dishes in a second. So right now I'm working on some Mother's Day specials. So I'm thinking of doing like a bouquet. We're gonna do like a little cupcakes. And then I'm gonna like frost it, make it look like roses with some fondant, like the stems, make it look like a little flower bouquet.
Órale.
That's gonna be one of them, and then we're gonna do like a little mini 2-tier. I was actually gonna work on all that after we finish up. I'll send you some pictures.
And then I guess, bro, just last thing, just if you wanna share any words of encouragement for folks coming out, bro, they're gonna try to fix up, like folks that are gonna coming out of incarceration, or folks who are just out there and trying to figure out that purpose, trying to figure out that legit business scheme, right? Like, what would you tell them?
So if you wanna make it, honestly, I think the best way to go, my experience at least, is working for yourself versus working for a company or a corporation, or unless they're like paying really well. But the thing is, we're gonna come out with criminal history, and a lot of places don't hire. You're gonna have a hard time finding a good job. But I mean, don't let that defeat you. In my case, I learned a trade with family for baking, so I made it a business. But I mean, with anything, you can do that with anything. You could do it with, I don't know, whether it be carpentry or construction. You learn the trade, and then you figure out how to build your own business, your own marketing strategy. But to be honest, being an entrepreneur isn't for everybody. Some people don't have it. You know, some people don't have the skills. Some people don't have the charisma to deal with people, or you know, in that case, then you just need to be aware of yourself. You know, what skills do you have? What skills do you possess? You think you know, ask somebody that that knows you. You know, hey, you think this would be a good, you know, what do you think about this? Not so much for their approval, but you know, so you can have like uh some feedback, you know, feedback from people that care about you. Um and you know, so you apply that to whatever it is that you want to do. So at one point I wanted to do solar panels. You know, I before I started doing cakes, I thought I was going to do solar panels. I wanted to do a solar panel company, and shit, if I put my mind to it, I'm sure it would have happened. But I ended up doing the cakes because my community kind of pushed me towards it. They kept asking for this and that, and I was like, finally, all right, I'll make a cake here, there, and then next thing you know, I get sucked into it, and now we got this bakery. Pero I'm not complaining. I just don't ever forget the patience that you had when the patience it took for you to get out. So if you can go through that patience to get out without killing yourself, or uh, you know, ended up doing some other stuff in there that made you get more time, or uh, you know, without losing your, if you were able to get through that, and you know, sit through that, all that process, and make it out, there's nothing that you can't do out here, honestly, that's worse than that. I mean, if you lose it all, so what? Start over, you know. um it's worth the gamble, in my opinion, in the long run, and being able to take care of your family, and being a successful person in your community. I mean, it's that should be the goal, you know. Start with a goal. Basically, start with a goal. Maybe even get a job somewhere, learn the trade, figure something out, and figure out how to do it for yourself, and go from there. Don't be scared to lose.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. I appreciate you just sharing that with them. Want to thank you again, Tony, just for hopping on here with us, sharing a little bit about your journey, a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your family, and these words of encouragement, even just like reminiscing on some of the shenanigans that we're up to in there, right? And it was it's a good conversation, man. And you know, how can folks get a hold of you? How can folks know more about Tony's Cakes and all that? Like, you got a website or all that?
Yeah. So you can check me out at tonyscake.com. On Instagram, Tony's Cakes. You can follow me on Facebook or Instagram. Hit me up on my website. That's Tony's Cake, TonyScake.com. And then if you want to hit me up on social media, Tony's Cakes at Tony's Cakes. I'm out here in Vallejo, California, 1833 Springs Road, right across the street from O'Reilly Auto Parts. Man, I'm always here. I'm only closed on Mondays, but other than that, we're here 6 days a week. Help you out with anything that you need, and I'm known to hire felons. So if you want to, you know, if you need a little side job, or you know, you think you want to learn something or two, you know, we could start you off with something, and you know, help you out. I'm always willing and able to help. So if you live in the area and you think it's something that's for you, swing by. We can talk.
That's right. But, I appreciate you, Tony, man.
Yes, sir.
Just want to, again, mi gente out there, and those who tune into the Milpa show, appreciate y'all tuning in, listening to us today. It was pretty cool listening to the brother Tony take us through his journey. Do follow him, check out his Instagram and all that. This guy got mad skills. Has built castles and stuff like that.
I try. Nah.
Mad skills, yo. I'm telling you, he's over there. You know, I'm gonna try to get him into the what's that show called? The Great American British Baking Show or some stuff like that. I don't know. But anyways, y'all, appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for being here and tuning in. Hasta luego. Next time, y'all. Peace.
Right on, brother. Thank you.